My name is Koulla Yiasouma and I am the Northern Ireland Commissioner for Children and Young People, and I have been since the 2nd of March 2015, which means I finish on the 1st of March 2023. I've been a qualified social worker since 1987, so quite possibly before most of the people watching this were born. I'm one of two daughters brought up by my parents. What we now call economic migrants came from Cyprus to London in the late 50s, early 60s. We were very lucky. We have parents who loved us, parents who mainly could provide for us, and parents who thought we were the centre of the universe. When you look up and you look around, particularly as a teenager, you think not everyone has this sort of family, and how's that fair? So I suppose I became very attuned to social justice from quite a young age. I decided I wanted to be a probation officer when I was 13. It's a really strange thing for a 13-year-old to do. I have often wondered why, apart from the social justice thing, helping people get involved, obviously social work with people who are involved with crime. And that's what I became. When I was at university, I did have a wee existential crisis about, did I want to go into social work? Did I want to change the world one person at a time? Did I want to change the person to fit into a broken world? Or did I want to change the world to accommodate people and their rights? When I became qualified, I very quickly became involved with my union, NAPO, to do some of the big picture policy stuff. So I always had an eye to changing the world because I didn't think it was fair to just change people when the world wasn't fair. From a very young age, I always wanted to change the world because the world's not right. We can't just change it one person at a time, although we need to help people to change their lives for the better. I worked as a probation officer only for about 7.5 years, firstly in Staffordshire, because I went to University of Keele. I left and got a job in that community. Then I moved home and was a probation officer in London. 1994, I moved to Northern Ireland and worked for probation for about 6 months. In the UK, in London, we had done quite a lot of the stuff around inclusion and how we talked about women and how we talked about black and minority ethnic communities. Northern Ireland hadn't quite got there yet when I arrived, and I found that quite challenging. That's not to say I knew better, because Northern Ireland was going through its own stuff. Probation in Northern Ireland had done so much. I got a little bit frustrated with all of that and decided it wasn't for me. And then I got out of formal social work, for want of a better term, but I wanted to do something different. So I joined Women's Aid, stayed there until 1998, but I missed working with young people and I wanted to do more work with young people. So I joined an organisation which since became called Include Youth as their director, and stayed there for nearly 17 years, the happiest 17 years. But I was incredibly happy in my previous job, incredibly happy. So I had to make a decision whether I would stay, because I couldn't imagine working for any other NGO. So what would the natural next job be for me? And when this job came out, the Children's Commissioner job, I'm quite mouthy, I like the limelight, and I do advocate. I do a lot of advocacy, and I'm all about the rights of children and young people. It was the next step. If you're into children's rights in Northern Ireland, the only job you want is this one, is the one I have had for the last 8 years. I learned a lot, both about me as a social worker, but also about how you can pull down the skills and observe other professions and improve your own practice. It helped that I was a social worker, but it also helped that I had a keen sense of social justice and rights and all the rest of it. They don't ask for qualifications for this post, it's more based on experience and competency and stuff like that. It's quite interesting though, when I got this job, a colleague in Wales was also a social worker. Social workers have done Children's Commissioner's job quite regularly. You know, it's not an unusual thing for a social worker to do a Children's Commissioner job. And again, that goes back to social justice and understanding and implementing rights, the realistic implementation of rights, which is what I think social work is about at its core. I was always going to end up somewhere like this. But I couldn't have done it without working with individuals and knowing how to talk to them, and more importantly, knowing how to listen to them. It was a progression, and you needed to do that to be able to do this better. Why did I keep up the registration as Children's Commissioner when it wasn't really necessary? Because I'm a social worker and I'm proud to be a social worker, and the only way I can have that label of social work is that I have that registration number. Why should I be ashamed of that I'm a social worker? Because we do good things, because we've done good things as a profession over the decades. We are about supporting people to achieve better outcomes. Do you know what I mean? That is a good thing to spend your career doing. To say that you spent your working life helping others, supporting others, and recognising that there are some people who, by accident of birth, more often than not, have had a tougher time than you. Obviously, social workers who are experts by experience, a whole different level of awesomeness. But for me, I'm so proud that I have spent my career supporting those not less fortunate than myself, because that's patronising, but supporting those who just didn't have the luck that I had. What could be better? Genuinely, what could be better? I finish after 8 years, finish my term, so I'm going to take a break. I'm going to spend time in the garden and with my kitchen cupboards, because they are a mess, and then we'll see what the world brings. I don't imagine I won't work. I hope I can still make a contribution to improving Northern Ireland for the people who live here. You know, I'm not leaving Northern Ireland. My life is here, my home is here. Knowing you've made a difference in the life of somebody, that's all you can ever ask. It's a bit like when we talk about teachers. We talk about teachers and we always remember that teacher that made a difference for us. I would like to think that some people remember me as making a big difference. I know I remember some of them. I remember some of those client service users. I hope they remember me as having made a positive impact in their life. I really hope I did. I don't know whether I did. I know some people have said thank you to me and all the rest of it, but I hope that impact lasts. So I hope I changed. I helped people to change their lives for the better.